How's it going, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the Real AF TV podcast, the show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm one of your hosts, Josh LaBaw.
And I'm Tim Wagner.
Tim, how's it going, man? You know what? If I look tired on the video version, which you can get over at RealAFTV/Patreon, or go to patreon.com/RealAFTV for $1, you're going to unlock these videos. I may look tired because we're in that phase now where we're going to pretend not to be tired and we're going to run around the room for an hour or two in the middle of the night, just pretending we're not tired.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the crying ourselves to sleep thing. Oh man. So I'm in full on sleepy dad mode, back to some like newborn shit. So hopefully I don't look ridiculous. Hopefully I don't sound crazy. And hopefully we will get through this podcast where we are going to be talking about part 1, our fishing topic. So I Googled fishing rod. Now what? Hopefully we're going to be doing a buyer's guide to fishing rods. And in part 2, man, it was inevitable. There's no way we were going to get around this one. We're going to talk about South Park. They are in the news, and I figured, fuck it. Let's go.
Nice. I'm ready.
So, yeah.
You don't look tired, man.
Good.
I definitely didn't come on here and been like, holy shit, bro. You need to take a nap.
You need to take a nap.
No, I did not think that, but I know what you're going through, dude. Yeah, it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. For us, it was like you got that newborn is like tough. You get a little leeway, and then you got like the crying yourself to sleep where you're getting better at like putting her in her own. Is she in her own room?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay,
she's been there for a hot minute. But
okay, yep. So she's in her own room. There becomes a point where they're like sleeping through the night.
Yeah,
and you're just in your own room, and you get a couple of nights in a row, and you're like, "Fuck, this is amazing! I can't believe this." And now
feels like a spa day.
Dude,
you're just
now,
like, oh yeah, baby.
Yeah. Now we're to the point where he does fine. We go into his room, we say goodnight and everything, and then like 2 times a night, he's big enough now that he like gets up, opens doors, comes into our bedroom, and it's like stupid shit. He'll be like, "Mom, I need you to cover me up," and it's like, cover yourself up. What the fuck, dude? We're sleeping. So that's where we're at now. Like it happens like almost nightly. We get some full nights, but yeah. And my
You're just
wife,
like 2 hours in good sleep, and all of a sudden, Mom.
Yeah. Sleep apnea kind of saves me on that one. Shannon does a lot of the work. I almost never get out of bed. Just because it's like I go in there, and if I try to like sleep on his floor to like calm him down or whatever, I'm getting horseshit sleep. I'm waking him up because I'm snoring, and I'm not getting good sleep because I'm snoring. So I'm just like, keep the mask on. She's not happy with it all the time, but I'm just like, I drive a vehicle for a living. I kind of need to have good sleep, at least some.
Right. Yeah. I actually had that down on the housekeeping notes. Did you get your new machine?
Yeah, dude, I did.
Yeah. Yep. How's that going?
I've been going to the doctor for a couple of different things lately. So, yeah, I got the new machine. The new machine is so fucking dope.
Yeah, dude. Like, hell yeah.
It auto senses when I put the mask on. So like I just like get ready for bed, and then I put it on, and that's it. Like people might not think that's a big deal, or you're just like, you're still putting a mask on. That sucks. Not ideal. Like you people that don't have to wear this shit, like don't know how good you have it. Like it would be so great to just go to bed and that's it.
Right.
Not to have to like fill a water reservoir for the humidifier and then make sure that that's in and all that stuff. The humidifier is so much better on this one.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Everything about this one is better. But like the old one, I used to have to like get the mask situated and stuff,
Sure.
and then like roll over and hit the start button still. Like the thing's
Yeah.
on the floor, and it's like now I can just kind of like relax and get situated and then put it on, and that's it.
And then boom, just sleep.
So yeah, just sleep. It's dope.
Yeah.
And I got a new
Hell yeah.
mask. Like it gave me like this lady that I talked with was absolutely awesome. So everything about it, and now I don't have to jump through all these hoops to get the readings to the DOT people because they need to be, that I need to
Right.
prove that
Yeah.
I'm wearing
Uh-huh.
the machine. Like it goes through AT&T's
Oh, sick.
wireless stuff, so like wherever I'm at, it's constantly giving them stuff. I forgot to look into it. I just got a text message today that says congratulations from this place. I don't want to plug them because I don't
Right.
know, but
Yeah.
you've met your overall goal for proper use of your sleep therapy. And it's like, dude, you're just like keeping track of me and being like, nice work. And I'm like, thanks, guys. So
Thanks.
I don't know what this is for or why I would need to like why they're giving me a good like heads up, but I'm just like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah. I'm
So
trying hard. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. And the other thing is you know about it. People at home might not know about it. I had ingrown toenails when I was younger, and the
Mm-hmm.
one toenail I had completely removed, but the other side I had half of a toenail removed.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't kill the root properly, and I had
Mm-hmm.
one toenail grow in, like the half a toenail grow in normal. The other
Mm-hmm.
one came in sideways, like all stupid. And if I let it grow out and didn't cut it properly, it would literally be like a raptor claw. It would just come straight out the top, and it'd be terrible and
Right.
just annoying as hell. And I actually, for that doctor's appointment for the machine, talked to somebody and got the referral. And this last Friday, had that other
Mm-hmm.
toenail,
Oh,
got
they
rid
just
of the
bam.
whole thing, dude.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm ready
Clean
for the
that thing up.
weekend because my foot fucking hurts. But
Oh, I bet.
it's not that bad. But it was like during the healing process, like just I get in and out of my truck a lot
Well,
during the
that's what I was
day.
gonna say. It's like you drive a vehicle, but you also get in and out of your vehicle all the fucking time. So
Yeah.
yeah, your profession is a truck driver, but your profession is also fucking walking around.
And
Like,
it's a manual transmission step
oh,
van.
so there's no rest in
So
that one foot.
yeah, no, I'm working the clutch with that foot all day.
Right. Shit. All right. Well, good news and bad news, I guess, in one story there.
Now you guys know. But I'll be all better now. I'm setting myself up for success.
That's what it's about, especially as you get older. You just start really to take that shit not for granted, but like you really start to look at that shit a lot closer.
Well, and then when you got the kid, you're just like, I
That's what I
gotta
mean.
get
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, I gotta
Hmm.
get this health thing down. Like you hear
I want to
stand
be
up.
here to see that 12th birthday.
Yeah,
That's not that far away. I didn't.
Tom,
I
yeah,
was trying to
right,
make a joke, and I'm
right.
like, oh, that's a fucking morbid joke.
Tom Segura's got a joke about like he's talking to I don't want to be that guy where he's just like, you just don't want to be the fat dad. Where he's just like, you remember that guy, like you were like we were back in school and we were just like, hey, look at Billy's fat fucking dad. So
uh,
yeah, gotta get my shit together so I'm not that guy and I'm not like, you know, just he wants to like, let's play Legos. I'm
right.
just like, I don't you want to watch Frozen again?
Can we just sit here and watch Frozen?
It was just you watch Frozen, I'll play on my phone.
Right. All right, man. Let's jump into it. I want to say big old thank you to all our new listeners. I don't know if it was Nate or what it was, but man, YouTube and Spotify were great in this last week. So I just want to say thank you for everybody. Hopefully you subscribed and stayed with us or whatever that is, because keeping listeners is the hardest fucking part. And I hope you found us entertaining enough to come back. Yeah, we talk about dad shit for 10 minutes, but whatever. That's what we're going to do. So we got a Patreon, as I already remembered, but we have the $5 tier. I want to plug that really quick. We call it our Peer Fishers. Go over there and you get to vote on the random take. We do 2 shows a month. And if we get any $5 Patreons ever, we will start putting up a survey, and then we will take the highest voted on topic and we're going to fucking talk about it. So we're going to give one of the random takes a month to the community. That's the fucking plan. So go over to patreon.com/realaftv, real with 2 E's, and fucking join that $5 tier. It's $5. You can do it for just 1 month. Who cares? We'll let you vote, and we'll do your topic, because you can write in, tell us what you want us to put on the fucking survey, and then I'll put it on the survey. There you go,
dude.
It's that simple.
If you got something that I'll say too, like, I know we haven't talked about this, but honestly, like, if the fishing topic too, if there's something that you want us to talk about with fishing, I'm game for anything.
Oh shit.
Like, you're like, tell me about whatever kind of fishing or whatever. I'll tell you, I can't answer your ocean fishing questions really, but I'll give it a shot.
Right, because sometimes they do relate. Right. I mean, sometimes it's very relatable is what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah. It's always relatable. It's just like, you know, where you're like, hey, where can I find the best marlins?
Sure.
In the ocean.
In the ocean. That's a big area. Yeah. Go to realaf.tv/contact, and that is our form. Go ahead, hit us up, send us an email, interact with us, man. We like it, but the good stuff is happening over at Patreon, just so you know. Now, Tim.
Yep.
I thought this was a funny, as I said at the beginning.
I can't get over how big this fucking thing is. So,
this one's the one for the video.
I just saw it.
It looks crazy on camera. We won't dwell on it too long for all you audio listeners, so we're just gonna laugh at it and move on.
Yep.
I thought this was a funny topic. I don't know what I'm gonna name this motherfucker when it comes out, but I named it. So I googled fishing rod. Now what?
I like it.
And now really, what? Yeah. And we've covered fishing rods quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, we did the history of fishing rods. We covered the modern fishing rod, but it was episode 12, by the way, that we covered the modern fishing rod. So it's going to be a nice pairing. I think this one's going to go nice with pairing, because our goal for this specific episode is sort of like a buyer's guide, right? Because I feel like there is that, well, I'm just going to Google this.
Yeah.
Well, you Google it, and then what? Like, you get a fucking 100 ads from Google, right? Like, you Google fishing rod, and all of a sudden Dick's gets pushed to the top, and Shields get pushed to the top, and Dick's. You couldn't help but laugh at that.
No, because it didn't even sound like you were talking about the stores. That's what you open with. You Google fishing rods, and then dicks get pushed to the top.
Dicks get pushed to the top. There's just so many dicks in your feed. You're like, what the fuck is going on?
They're just like rods. We get it. This is what you want to see.
Oh, wink, wink. Fishing rods.
Oh, rods. I get it. We won't tell your wife. Google fishing rods. I wasn't even trying.
Fuck. I thought this was safe for work.
You
fishing rods, safe for work search.
You clicked a lot of the links, though. I know. It's. Can we just drop it?
Oh fuck! So what I meant was Dick's Sporting Goods and Shields and these sporting good stores, you know, Bass Pro Shops. They get pushed to the top because they're paying for the ads, right? And like they're on Google Shop, and so you just get a random feed about fishing rods. I mean, it's not a good way to start a search, first of all, and this is my piece of advice, Tim. You definitely are the expert. You're well versed in this more than I am, but I was just like, pick a budget. I think that's the first thing you got to do, is pick a budget. So you even know before you even Google fishing rod, that's what you are going for.
Yep. I think pick a budget, or like pick what you're trying to accomplish, and maybe save up so you can make it to that next tier, you know, depending on what your goals are. You know, if you're trying to be in just go out and bobber fish, you know. You can probably, I guess, I don't know for sure. Hopefully you can afford to get something in that range right away. Like if you're looking into
Mhm.
getting a rod, like you can just go get that. But I totally understand where you're just like, I want to go do a specific technique or whatever, or I want to get into, like bass fishing and start using lures. Then it might,
Mhm.
then it kind of makes more sense to try to spend a little bit more money to help yourself out,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
so getting a budget, definitely, like how you said, figure out your budget. So then I think those kind of go hand in hand. Like you're figuring out your budget
Mhm.
based off of your technique, you know?
Okay.
Like
Sure.
like you're trying to figure out like if it's strictly like this is all the money I have to spend, then
Mhm.
do what you can with that. But I think it's more trying to figure out, you know, what you can afford eventually. Like maybe if it takes you a couple of paychecks,
Mhm. Mhm.
to put together enough money to get one rod, then maybe do it that way because certain techniques are definitely going to come a lot easier on better gear with the exact setup, you know?
Yeah. So you're saying before you even start fishing, or like even before you search for a fishing rod, is like know what kind of fishing you're going to be doing, I guess, right? Is that what you're
Yeah,
That's
pretty
easy
much.
way to sum it
Yeah.
up?
Yep. Cuz there's so much you could be fishing for you could bobber fish for anything. If that's what you're
Mhm.
trying to do, which is, a lot of beginners or a lot of just like your casual
Cat.
weekend
Mhm.
fishermen here and there, people that
Mhm.
don't really plan on going fishing much, but they're just like
Mhm.
every once in a while I want to go to the lake and cast the line out and just let it sit there. Like you don't need anything special to bobber fish,
Oh, okay.
But
Sure.
if you're looking for um, you know, specific techniques or you actually want to go casting and working lures in and stuff, then
Uh-huh.
it gets a little bit trickier because there's not really like one good rod to handle all your situations. So try to
Okay.
figure out the technique, like what you mainly want to be fishing, and
Sure.
then go from there.
So would someone who is out fishing, or someone who's out online, right? Online
Hmm.
shopping for a fishing rod. Does
Yeah.
it When you say technique, like what is it that you fish? Like is it, or what is it that you start searching then? Is it bass fishing rod? Like have you really dove into that? Cuz I also don't know, I guess, how much you have personally like shopped online, but it's also not about just shopping online. I think shopping online can also be a way of just researching. So maybe I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Let me go back to my original question and just be like, yeah, is bass fishing rod, like if you just Google bass fishing rod, is that enough, you think, when you're
No.
talking about technique?
Mm-mm. No.
Okay.
I mean, i- if you Googled bass fishing rod,
Hmm.
it may pull you up like the line of rods. And then if you get to the different manufacturers that make the ones that are technique specific,
Okay.
that can help you out. And I think that's a good way to like try to figure it out too. Try to find some of those. Like I know Skeet Reese has a line of
Okay.
rods where it shows each one. It's like, jigging and drop shot or or like finesse slash drop shot and then like spinner bait, rod or whatever. And it'll show you can kind of look at like so we talked about this in that episode 12. There's different actions, there are different,
Mm-hmm.
powers.
Mm-hmm.
There's light, medium, heavy, and then the
Right.
tip is like fast, extra fast, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so like the technique matters a lot, but I don't know if I really touched on this more so. So like if you're going bass fishing,
Yep.
you don't really need to have real big baits in Minnesota at least. We don't have giant fish here. We've talked about this
Right.
before too. The state
Right.
record is like not even 9 pounds. So those are still big fucking fish. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you caught like a 6-pound bass, that thing is gonna, that's a big fish.
Yeah, I mean, that thing still got some muscle. Like, that's
Yeah.
still a big fish. That's gonna put up a fight. You're gonna
Mhm.
know you have a big ass bass online when that thing
Yep.
hits.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
But so, like, try to think about where you plan on fishing the most and like what you fish. If
Okay.
if you're casting on the river or whatever,
Okay.
like when I go to the river, I'm usually casting out like a small crankbait for
Okay.
smallmouths or whatever.
Mhm.
There's a lot of riprap, so I'm not really doing any jigging or anything. So at that point, I don't really need to have, something that can work a jig. I need something that can handle like a crankbait and all that other stuff. So
Mhm. Mhm.
for the most part, I do cast smaller stuff there too. So that's why that's why for me it's so hard to try
Sure,
to give
sure.
people advice to buy one rod because I'm like,
Because you're such a utility fisherman almost,
I
right?
have
Like, you
like
just fish, like, every fucking thing and
I yeah,
all the time.
I have like 7 or 8 rods and I'm
Right.
like not even close to as many as I want. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You talked about, in our tournament fishing episode, like, you blew my fucking mind with how many, like, how expensive it can get and stuff like that. And
oh, it's nuts.
I, I mean, obviously how expensive it can get, how much you recognize obviously means you want it, you're into it. But when it comes to this, you're saying like, yeah, you can't just Google bass fishing rod because there's so much
Mhm.
intricacy to it. I think is really what it comes down to. There's
Right.
so many different like specs when it comes to a reel, and I mean when it comes to a rod, sorry. And I actually, when I was looking up, when I was doing research for the topic, uh I went to Dick's Sporting Goods because they pay a lot of money to get to the top, and they actually had a filter because when you go online and you go to a website and then you can
Yep.
filter down because all of a sudden there's 1,100 fishing rods that you've
Mhm.
just selected because you googled fishing rod and you clicked on the store, and it did the same thing, right? It did the store's search for fishing
Right.
rod, and there's 1,100 fishing rods. Oh shit. Okay, so how do I narrow this down? It had a type of rod, and this is from dicksportinggoods.com, where it said it
Yeah.
had bait caster, conventional, fly, ice, spinning, trolling. And I'm just kind of like,
The fuck is
you know,
conventional?
yeah, that was what I was going to ask you. I was like, what the fuck is conventional supposed to mean? But so with that said, that's just the type of rod. Um, that was way off from my initial question of, can you just Google bass fishing rod? You can't,
Right.
because
No.
it's not about the bass fishing. You're saying it's about the
Yeah.
lure. Here
Right.
we got bait caster. That's the type of reel that goes on, right?
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah, they'll call it casting. Like when you're shopping for them,
Mm-hmm.
if you go onto the websites, they'll label it as spinning or casting. Spinning is like the open face where the reel hangs underneath,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Okay.
casting is where the rods or the reel sits on the top.
Okay.
So, and a
So
lot of
that'll
the
change the way,
well,
like,
and
you should
yeah,
be
a lot
looking
of the
for a rod right
casting,
away.
yep, and a lot of the casting have triggers.
Mm.
Yeah. So I know sometimes I get in the weeds and like I do this on other people's podcasts and stuff too, and I'm not paying attention, not listening fully to what everybody says. Listen to this part. So if you are just a like every once in a while fisherman, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
you can get away with getting a two-piece rod. Spinning rods make
Mm.
everything a lot easier, and that's definitely the way you should go with starting is spinning rods.
Mm.
Don't go to a bait casting rod right away. Those are harder to get the hang of, and
Mm-hmm.
they're harder to use different stuff. I'll talk about that in just a second.
Okay.
Use a get a two-piece rod because you can those just pull apart All they do is just slide together. You can pull those apart. You don't have to cut your line or anything to pull it apart. Just reel it up all the way tight. Pull that thing off, fold it in half. You can put it in your trunk, no problem.
Yeah, super
You can,
convenient.
yeah, you can bring it anywhere you want. You don't need to have a big vehicle. One-piece
Right.
rods are a lot more sensitive. I only have one-piece rods, but I'm a way more avid fisherman. So if you're just going out for bobber fishing and stuff, like a 2-piece rod is perfect. If you can find one in 7 foot, go for it. I don't know if they make them. I think like 6'6" is like the standard. A
Okay.
6'6" like
We'll
medium
cover length
action.
too.
Yeah, a 6'6" like medium action rod is going to be fine. I learned on a Shakespeare ugly stick. That was a 2-piece. That thing was strong as hell. It wasn't necessarily light, and I learned how to fish weightless Texas rigs, like just a
Oh,
worm and the hook on that rod, so you can
okay.
still fish certain stuff. So
Sure.
it's just like not ideal. Spinning rods, they are better for fishing lighter stuff. So if you're trying to fish smaller jigs, worms, whatever it is, like a 1/4 ounce or less of the weight, spinning rod. Fish it on a spinning rod. Anything smaller is super hard to cast on a bait caster. So that's another thing. Bait casters are hard to learn on already. Trying to throw a small bait on a bait caster, you'll probably backlash less, but you're gonna like be chucking that shit into the ground, or just like throwing it like 4 feet, and you're like, what the fuck? Why do people like these?
You won't even get it away from the
No,
wherever you're fishing, the boat, the
right.
landing, the pier, the whatever, or the
Yep.
land, the pier, whatever you're standing on.
Yeah. So the bait casters, are better for the bigger stuff. Like I'll throw
Okay.
not crankbaits aren't normally like super heavy, but I throw crankbaits. Spinner baits are normally like 1/2 ounces, like smallest. Or
They
no,
got
I
some weight
shouldn't
to
say
them
that.
usually.
There's like yeah, it's like 1/2 ace or 3 ace. 3 ace I think is like the
Okay.
smallest one. It's like 3 ace and then 1/2 ounce and then whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like spinner baits and bigger stuff is a lot easier to throw on a
Okay.
bait caster.
Yep.
So that is, that's what I'm talking about, like with technique and stuff.
Right.
And then think about what I was saying, like think about where you fish too. Think about that the cover that you're fishing. I know some people like go to lakes near them, and the lakes that
Yep.
you fish will have like lily pads and stuff right there.
Yep.
If you are trying to fish that heavier cover, remember that you need to have something to be able to pull the fish out of that heavy cover. You're not just fighting the fish, you're
Right.
fighting the fish in all that shit. So,
Right. Really good point.
yeah, you need to make sure that you can handle all that stuff. And that
And the
is
rod
like,
itself has a lot to do with that.
yeah, having, I mean, I have a medium heavy Abu Garcia that I use for all like my heavy cover and stuff, because you
Okay.
need to have that backbone to be able to pull the fish out of there. Because without that backbone, you might as well fucking give up, dude. I'm not like I have my carrot stick that I love. That's a
Yeah, oh yeah, you
medium.
talked about that a lot in
Yeah,
episode 12. I remember
yeah.
that.
So it's a medium.
Mm-hmm.
It's like real gradual flex. It doesn't have much backbone at all. It works awesome for like crankbaits and stuff. Like I cast it out, and when I'm reeling, like with a crankbait or a spinner bait, when the fish bites, you don't really have to like set the hook like you do on other stuff where you crank it up because you're already reeling. The line's already tight. When
Mm.
that fish bites, it's more of like just a sweeping motion to set the
Okay.
hook. You just kind of like sweep through,
Okay.
and that medium bend, fucking fruit fly. I don't know if you can see that.
No, you can't see it. There's no way.
Yeah, it like hit me
We're
in the
not filming in
face, like
4K.
hit me right between the eyes, like a fucking asshole. Got a fruit fly
So
problem in the house. Sorry.
yeah, everybody does. Man, it's fucking summer. Anyways, I don't want to like. I'll take it from here for a second because you're getting into action and stuff like and materials and stuff like that. And I was curious about the the Googling thing, because that's just how people shop online. So when you're saying, weight of the tackle or bait or whatever you want to say that you're throwing like that, spinning bait caster, these are keywords that you would add to fishing rod. Like the whole point is that I Google fishing rod now is like you're going to use these things, like use what Tim's saying to navigate through the particular store that you're shopping on, right? Like you're on Fleet Farm. Okay, use everything that Tim's saying to try to filter things down. But there's also ways to just Google better. Like don't just Google fishing rod. Sure. That's not helping. So like put in bait caster fishing rod, because you want to throw heavy bait. And narrow it right away from the jump, right? Do spinner, because then you're going to get just the spinnings. And stuff like that. So that's the kind of like that's perfect. Is you already went into that. And then once you're there, here's the thing. I know you got a lot to say. I'm gonna let you say it, but I got one thing that I want to get into about the models and stuff like that. So go with what you're going with, and then we're gonna jump into models quick.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, like, if we're talking specifically like what to Google, make sure that you Google like the year or two. Google like bass fishing, like if you're we already kind of got, like, you could put in bass fishing rod or whatever if you're looking for an article, but like say if
you're looking for an article but maybe not buying it, I think is kind of what you were saying,
right? Because that's what I feel like. If you're trying to find something and you want to narrow it down, finding articles and reading about what people do or how they fish helps you a lot choose different stuff. Because like you said, I am getting kind of off the rails because I have a hard time.
It's really good info. I mean, I hope people will definitely be able to take away like how to narrow down and get to a good fishing rod from this.
So I mean, like that, like when I Google stuff, if I narrow it down to like, okay, I know I want a 2-piece fishing rod, I'm then Googling like best 2-piece spinning rod. And I'm looking at a forum where somebody made a list for me and gives me some key pointers, and then I can formulate my own opinion based off of what other people are saying that they like. And I'll do the same thing for like spinning rods and stuff, because I have brands I like. Maybe somebody else came up in the past. I haven't used this 2-piece rod in 20 years.
Right.
So I don't know what they're like anymore, but again, like it doesn't matter too much. Strength is a big factor in that, because don't buy cheap shit. You go back to 12, we talk about it. Cheap stuff can break easier.
Yes, but we have a whole episode about that. A whole topic we did about topics or about hobbies too. And it's just like you just learn over time. It's just like, don't buy the cheap shit. It doesn't pay off in the end.
Right. So if I'm Googling something and I want to try to find an answer, I'm not going to any of those main sites like you were talking about with the ads. I'm not going to I'm scrolling past all that advertised shit. I'm scrolling past everything that is put out by sales, a place that's selling, because I don't think that they give you the best reviews, because they want you to buy their shit. They're not gonna shit on anything, because they don't want to hold on to inventory. You got to find a place that's unbiased.
Right. And the year, I really like that you put in the year. Like, I loved that idea that you were like, hey, 2021, because when it comes down to it, there's models to fishing rods. I mean, this is the perfect thing I was just talking about with the models. It's a perfect transition. Is like, there's models, and you're going to get the Fenwick Eagle 2017 when you Google Fenwick Eagle or when you Google fishing rod, because Shields needs to offload all the 2017 models because they're fucking taking up warehouse space and it was a bad year. Like, and I'm totally making that up, but I mean I'm making up that the Fenwick Eagles sucked that year. I'm saying
they didn't.
That they're going to push, they're going to advertise that. Like, Shields is going to try to be moving inventory. That's all there is to it.
Yep.
So that's going to get pushed to the top. You don't necessarily trust that. That's exactly what you just said. And when it comes to a specific model, there's different versions of the same fucking model.
Right.
Like, I was blown away when I did that. I'm like, the Fenwick Eagle. Yeah. Whatever. I mean, you just go buy it. Turns out there's like 8 different fucking Fenway Eagles.
Yeah, dude, there's a
And
lot.
I'm like, oh fuck.
I would be willing to bet that there is not, unless you're talking like catfish rods or whatever, I would be willing to bet that there is not a single rod out there where there's only one version of it.
Yeah.
Except for
No
something
shit.
like that catfish thing. Every single one of them, from
Wow.
like you have, I knew like Abu Garcia has all their, it's like Vendetta,
Mm-hmm.
Veritas, Vengeance. It's all stuff like that. Each one of
Okay.
those has all the different, 6 foot, 6'6", whatever.
Right.
So,
Right.
and some of the brands, you got to go to a completely different model to get into the size that you're looking for. Like for
Oh.
panfish, I have ultralights. They don't make an
Oh.
ultralight in everything. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
the Abu Garcia is a Veritas I have. I don't think of ultralight Veritas exists.
Oh, okay.
So it's just stuff like that. So know what you're going
Sure.
after, like if you're only targeting panfish, then
Mm-hmm.
make sure you're looking for ultralights. But like so
Mm-hmm.
if you are talking about um Googling, specifically when we're
Mm-hmm.
saying like bass fishing rod, then you
Yeah.
could put in like best bass fishing rod of 2020, but be more specific than that even, like best spinning rod 2021, you know,
For
to
yeah, for bass or something like that,
right,
because the adding the fish will help you get the hit to the
right.
like Bassmaster article. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't think Bassmaster is going to write an article like that, but like
yeah.
maybe In Fisherman will pull you to the best bass fishing rods of 2020 versus
Yep.
the best pan
Cuz
fish rods of 2020 or some shit like that.
they will have, for those of you not viewing this, I'm putting my hands to my face like a weirdo, but they will have spinning reels like that for fishing out in the
Jeez.
ocean and stuff. So you say
And
like best spinning,
you're making a circle
it's
that's
like
like
half of my face. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was gonna say you're making a circle that's like 4, 6 inches like diameter, something like that.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
big.
they have big spinning reels that they will use out in the ocean and stuff. So if you're like best spinning reel or spinning rod for fishing, you might get a whole bunch of stuff. Where when you're talking about like ocean fishing or like offshore is what they call like
Mm-hmm.
ocean fishing,
Deep. Yep.
they'll be talking about like 12, 14-foot rods too, like completely shit that we're not using
Right.
here, where it's just like that. Maybe for trout have big rods like that, crappie
Sure.
have some giant rods like that. So again, it comes back to exactly what you're trying to catch, and if you're just trying to catch anything, then say that best all around rod, you
Right.
know.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the year is huge because some of those articles, it just goes based off of like what Google wants you to click on stuff.
Right.
So they're going based, their algorithm is showing you what other people are clicking on. And it
Right.
might be something from like 2014 where it's some outdated shit that you're not going to find.
Right.
Because that's a bummer. I've done that shit before. You do all your
Yeah.
research and you're like, I found the one I wanted to get. And then you go and put that into like Cabela's or whatever because you're like,
Yep.
this is the rod I want. You go to Cabela's and they're like, nothing's matching your search. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's the most popular rod out there
Right.
and nobody has this shit. And then you're like,
Right.
oh, it's because they updated something and it's completely different because
Yeah.
this
Like it
was
doesn't even
made
have the same
6
name
years
anymore.
ago.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. From my side of things, that happens with technology all the time when you're
Oh, I
looking
bet.
for yeah, just because when you're looking for something very specific that does a very specific thing, you know, and you're looking for it and you're like, hell yeah, that's the shit I want right there. And it turns out that like I'll just use video for instance, right? Because this is a podcast and we're doing a video, so I'll just use video as in is you'll find the thing that you really want to get and it turns out that when it went, so we'll say a video converter that can convert 1080p into your PC, make it your webcam, right?
Yep.
So it takes 1080p and it turns it into something digital to go straight to your hard drive or straight to your internet feed. And it totally fucking, the model changed, the cost changed, the name, like the people who make it even changed because they rebranded that branch of video stuff into a whole
Right.
different wing of the company. And it turns out, yeah, there was this thing that would convert 1080p into a readable stream, for like a fucking Zoom call or whatever. But that was 2 years ago. Now they have the same one and it has 3.0, it has 4K, it'll still do 1080p, and you're just like all these
Right.
upgrades to it and it's the same fucking thing, but you'll never find it because you start searching
Right, because you're searching
the
for the wrong
specific
thing.
model. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
exactly. You
looking for
put
that
in
very exact specific
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, you gotta
So,
put in, like, 3 more letters at the end of it or whatever, and you're just like,
right,
"Shit." 'Cause
right. You're like,
that's the same
fuck,
that's the
man.
same thing with the rods. Yeah, the rods are like numbers and letters. They're very similar, like, when you're trying to find the deal. It's a model number where it'll be very
Right,
close, because
right,
'cause it'll be like a
right.
703 or whatever, and, like, the 70 is for, like, 7 foot, and, like, the 3 is for the action, so, like
Oh, right, right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, like, if you
Yep.
change the
For
numbers
sure.
a little bit, that's how you get the new shit, but you're looking for the old shit, and you gotta know what you're looking for.
Right. For sure, for sure. And
Yeah, yeah.
so, I mean, this is going right down the path I have written out. It's fucking weird, but I mean, that's just how we do. Is so it's almost like do your research on Google. Don't just Google fishing rod and start clicking on stores and start clicking on Fleet Farm or, Cabela's or whatever. It's like do
Right.
your research and then go to the store and start doing search on their search engine and
Yep,
using the filters,
yep,
um, which
and
brings me to like brings me to the filters. That's what I want to talk about. We already talked about a little bit, but like you said, you have trusted brands in a way. But when you find an article, if you find something like all of a sudden 13 Fishing, right? I swear they weren't around 5 years ago, and now all of a sudden they're like the hottest shit.
yeah,
Um,
they
like
came on quick.
yeah, really quick. And
Mhm.
this is from somebody who just like isn't who loosely had been paying attention loosely before a year ago, and I was just like, hot damn, that company came out of nowhere. So filtering by brand, that can help you, especially once you've already done your research on Google. But do you recommend doing that if somebody is on Bass Pro Shop and just looking at specific brands, or are you thinking that go more for length or material or the power when it comes to narrowing that down?
I would say the latter first, and if you like a certain brand, then try to find
Mhm.
that in that brand.
Mhm.
Because the length and the power and the length is a really important part, and so is the material, honestly. Because
Yeah.
if you're dealing with like fiberglass stuff,
Okay.
fiberglass can be heavier,
Mhm.
but it's stronger.
Sure.
So depending on what you're trying to use, and like there's so many different composites too now, where it's like this is part
Yeah, I
fiberglass
bet
and
there
part
are.
that. Like we got into that in episode 12 too, talking about like why stuff costs more money
Right.
and the materials that they're made out of and whatnot. So if you're looking for that, more specifically, episodes 12 has got you. But
Yep, for sure.
um yeah, I would say try to narrow it down to the materials and everything, because like if you're trying to throw a lot of crankbaits, a fiberglass like composite rod, you know,
Mhm.
that's longer is going to be ideal. But
Okay.
a long fiberglass like composite rod doesn't work for most techniques that well.
Sure.
So, it's like don't go into like 13 fishing trying to find that. And honestly, I don't know a lot about 13 fishing and like what their summer rods are like yet. I know they make decent
Mm.
reels, but they got really big from like into ice fishing.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know about
That's
them. So,
probably why I see a lot of it up here this far
hmm,
north, right? We have 6
yeah,
months of open water, 6 months of ice, basically.
yep, yep.
So, that probably has a big impact, but I was just using them as an
Oh
example
yeah,
because
yeah.
to
And I'm
me,
not,
they were like wildfire. They came out of fucking
yeah.
nowhere, just
And they have super dope looking new stuff. I'm not
Yeah.
shitting on them at all, but
Oh, no. Yeah.
that's what
But
I'm
you're
just saying. Like,
I
they're relatively new. I don't even know how big of
Mhm.
a line they have.
Right.
That was kind of the point I'm making. Like, where
Mhm.
if you're looking for something specific or you figure out what you want, I wouldn't necessarily start with a brand because you don't
Mhm.
even know what they're all into. They might
Mhm.
not even be really into whatever exactly you're trying to get at. So
Right.
maybe try to figure out what there is. And like I said, the top 10 list always helps because then you're seeing like what people are saying the best brands out there, but not
Right.
not just a credible brand, but try to find a credible source. You know,
Sure.
don't you could go onto YouTube as well because Google's going to give you, if you click on videos, it's going to show you all the YouTube videos. So
Right.
try to find people that know what they're talking about there. I'm not saying like small
Or
time
not
people.
sponsored. Like that, I think
Right.
that's the other thing that you're saying. What we were saying even just about Google searching, because yeah, take it into YouTube searching too. As like a YouTube fishing rod. It's like,
Yep.
don't go, yes, go to Daiwa's website and or go to Daiwa's YouTube channel and watch it and take in the features, but remember, they're selling that to you. Like, doesn't mean it's wrong because you can't market falsely. That's illegal.
Right.
But just if you're looking for like a review, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody out there in the field using it, you're probably not going to get that from an official website. It's just not likely that happens.
Right. Yeah, because they're gonna be talking about their stuff. They're gonna be
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna be you're gonna get a lot of, if you talk or if you find somebody that's just going through their review process, you're gonna cut a lot of the fat out. Because if you're going through like a brand specific, you're probably gonna get a lot of like sales pitchiness too, where they're just like,
Mm-hmm.
this rod bends like here and this and it works perfect, and it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
that's why this rod is the perfect one for this technique. It has titanium oxide guides and and you're just like, I
Right.
just want to
Right.
know about what rod I should use. But they're trying to like
Right.
sell you. But yeah, like I'm not saying that like unknown people on YouTube don't know what they're talking about, but there are people out there that will just there are some people out there that have no business telling you what. They're just like the ones that tell you anything definitively.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times those
They
are
stick to the people. Anybody who sticks to their gun too hard is probably somebody you shouldn't be listening to,
right.
because they're
Exactly.
either one, being paid for it, two, never tried anything else. They've just always stuck like, yeah, it's a Chevy. I'm never gonna fucking not get a Chevy.
Exactly.
Fuck
Yep.
you, Ford. And it's just like, but Chevy didn't do so great in the late '90s, and Ford really came out of nowhere and fucking socked him in the gut. Like,
Right. Yeah.
and there's somebody out there with their '91 Chevy trying to rip through the mud, and a Ford just goes cruising by them, and they're like, yeah, but the Chevy, and they're
Right.
just stuck out there fucking smoking out the engine.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's the exact same thing with fishing. You'll just have
Right.
somebody being like, everybody's out here trying to tell you you need to get a 7 foot this and that for this and that. I got a 6'6" ugly stick. It is 2 pieces, and that does every fucking thing I need. And you never need to get another rod. And you're just like, sure, it can do stuff, but there are other tools. It's just like, yes, I could do a lot of the work around my house with the pliers. But if I had the right tool for the job, it's going to work a lot fucking better. It's
Right.
not like I can't get the job done with that. It's just that there are better tools for the job.
Right.
But you
Right.
got some people that won't give you any other reviews. They'll just be like, hey, what's the best fishing rod? And you'll have one guy just telling you, just like, you only get this brand. If you get anything else, you're a fucking idiot. You're just like, just, don't listen to
I don't
those
know why
people.
our character's always a Southern accent, but it's just like
I
the
feel like
definitive,
those are
whether it's
just,
good or bad, or it doesn't matter. We just like we
I feel like
default because
that's
we don't have anything else. We
the
don't have
deep.
another character voice.
The default, it's my default because those seem to be the people that I find on YouTube that are like
Well, I was just gonna
holding.
say Southern fishing is actually the most popular thing. Like YouTube, just video fishing
Right.
in general. It's hard to find anybody that's not from the South. So it's like I don't feel that it's disrespectful. Hopefully the listeners don't think that it's disrespectful. If you do think it is, please write in. Go to realaf.tv
Yeah.
and REEAL
I don't care if it
AFTV.
is. You can do accents like any white people is fair game. Like I can do
That's true.
Australian. I can do. it's,
British.
o-
Oh,
it's
all
okay.
those white countries.
Yeah. If that hurt your feelings when I made a southern accent, well then I apologize, but you're just gonna have to fucking deal with it. Because I'm not getting canceled for making fun of white people yet.
But also that's what I was saying. It's like it's not always just when it's not always poking fun. Like it's just like
Right.
anytime we feel like we have to do a character, it's just like I feel like we
I
go
just
that way.
I
I had to point it out.
Well, and I've like for whatever reason, like those always feel like those are the people that I feel like holding strong to
Sure.
whatever. Those are the
Yeah.
same ones that are just like, the same like your example. Just like
Hmm.
I'm not driving no piece of shit Ford. I've got my Silverado, and that's all I need.
Right.
It just like I don't know why. Those are just
Right. Those are the people that get fed to the top of the internet. It's true.
Yep.
So to wrap it up, basically, I'm just gonna say, yeah, I want to stay with so I googled fishing rod. It's just like, hey, man, you gave us some great tips. Like, use the year, like say best for this, like whether it be say crankbaits, spinner baits, like kind of put the tackle in there. I'm thinking, right?
Yeah, for sure, because the
These are
techniques make
words
a
you can
difference.
append.
Yep.
Yeah, these are words you can add to fishing rod. So, okay, you
Yep.
Googled fishing rod. Now in front of it, put 2021, put spinner baits, put
Yep.
spinning rod, put bait caster rod. Like put these more specific words, which I think hopefully people got that from this. But I wanted to close on returns because I think there's two parts of this. There's you can Google it and you can go to the store. You can go to Bass Pro Shop and you can pick out the rod, and then you can go to your local Bass Pro Shop. Like, okay, just go down there, pick it up, get it in your hands, see if it's the actual thing that you want. Um, for for me, I don't know that would really matter. For someone who's as avid of a fisherman as you, it might be important to just go down to the store and actually like get that specific fishing rod in your hands and kind of whip it around and whatever. Um, but
Yeah.
most fishing rods you can return. I mean, I looked up the return policy and for a couple stores and they were just like, yeah, I mean, bring it back. It's not broken. If it's not broken, you can bring it back.
Right.
I don't know that would work, but I guess it's something that I wanted to put out there for the listeners as a option to not be too afraid, right? Like use
Yeah.
what we just said and go out there and get what you think you need. And if you start fishing it and it feels like shit, or you start realizing that, yeah, you're throwing lighter bait than you expected, then return it.
Sure. Yep.
Like fucking bring it back, man. You should
Yeah.
be able to
Yeah.
get the one that you need.
Yeah. If it doesn't feel good, go out and try a couple different things too. Don't go out and try like one thing and be like, this is the rod I need. Try if there's a couple different techniques you want to try to
Mhm.
find something that's like a good middle ground. Like it works good
Mhm.
for this, but not for this, and you can try something else. But going down, I learned from Mike Iaconelli
Mm.
that go like when you're in the store, if you have a piece of fishing line with you, I know it sounds kind of weird, but the best way
Just
to
pull it out of your
test,
pocket. Whoop.
yeah, the best way to test the action is, all the rods aren't that long. You can kind of hold it with one hand and like string the line through it, and you can pull the line down and feel the
Oh,
flex.
nice.
Yeah. So then,
Nice.
yeah, then, because what he said is that all the different brands are a little bit different. fast, extra fast, medium, all those actions are slightly different between the makes,
Sure.
just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
clothing size and stuff,
That's
like
what I was just gonna say.
yeah, so
30 is
like
not a 32 everywhere. 40 is not a 40 on like between Levi's and Jenko.
exactly right, exactly. Yeah.
You like that old reference there?
Oh yeah, dude. 40s are definitely not the same on Janko. But yeah, dude, it's like just checking it out and getting a feel for it for sure
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
trying to feel for what you're doing there, cuz
Nice.
or what you want. If you know what you want, try to get it in your hand and feel for it. And I love the
Mm-hmm.
tip of take it out and try it out, cuz most places,
Mm-hmm.
that one I would say try to get your stuff at a bigger store,
Mm-hmm.
because those are a lot easier to return shit.
Yeah, for sure. Because even, for instance, you buy it online on Shields and then you take it out fishing and you do the things that Tim was already talking about, but you're doing it with real fishing, right? Like that have the line on it, pull the action, pull down on line, feel the action and everything like that. You bought it online. You did that. Well, you already did the purchase, but you're trying to go fishing tomorrow.
Yep.
Shit, this doesn't feel right. Well, run down to Shields, return that online purchase, go over to the fishing section, get the one that, get the other one. Because if you're debating when you were buying online, you got the medium, fuck, I want the light, just run down, do the return, come back.
Yep.
You got
And
that
maybe,
new one.
yep, and maybe not try to tweak a whole bunch of stuff at once. Like if you had the medium light 7 foot,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, I don't know, this feels like it's a little bit light. Maybe just go medium 7 foot. Don't go in there like where I'm like medium 7.4.
Mm-hmm.
Don't change too much on it, because then all of a sudden, you're like, I don't know, it feels different. But it's like because you changed too much stuff, so you're not dialing it in.
Mm.
Exactly what you wanted. But sometimes you don't have an option to, so don't. Sometimes
Right.
when you go to the next power, that exact size isn't available. So
Right.
just be mindful of what you had and what you're going to, and try to get a good feel for what you're switching. And remember, if you're going from a 2-piece rod to a 1-piece rod, like you never had a 1-piece rod before, those things are long, and the number one cause of breaking rods is slamming them in your trunk or the car door. And if you do that shit, they're not going to
Yep.
let you return it.
Right, exactly. Be very careful on the return.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know that like these terms of power and feel and stuff like that can be a little bit over some people's heads, but when it comes down to it, it's just how the rod feels, how the rod moves, right? And we'll do full
Yep.
episodes on power and
12
other,
got it.
but
We talked
yeah,
about it. 12's got it.
go to 12. Go to 12. We got a complimentary episode. So just go check out episode 12 with this one. And we are going to say it's the end. That's the end of fishing rods. We're never going to talk about fishing rods again. They're off the table. I'm just fucking around, man. Let's hit the break and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about South Park and that $900 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Real AF TV podcast, the show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. We're back from the break and we're going to talk about South Park. We're talking about fishing because that's what we do in the first part. We're talking about fishing rods specifically. And in South Park, you do not need fishing rods. You just need explosives.
Yeah.
I love that episode. Have you seen that episode when the boys go out fishing?
Yeah, that's with
Jimbo and
Jimbo and God, I was trying to think of Ned. I had Jimbo in my head.
It's coming right for us.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. That We are not going to talk about fishing in South Park. I just wanted to connect the two parts. The reason why I wanted to talk about South Park is because this is one of my favorite things. This is my fucking shit, dude. I have all of the ones that are available on Blu-ray. I've watched every episode except for the pandemic episode. Don't come at me, bro. That's a different story. But the reason for that, it all boils down to, is because I don't have HBO Max. My bad. They took them off Hulu now, and it is available on South Park Studios. But so I just haven't got around to it because it's not on my Apple TV to just fucking pop on and have some beers and get through the 2 episodes. But the reason why I brought up HBO Max is because that is pretty much the motivation behind Matt and Trey getting $900 million for South Park. That's not a buyout. That is the sum of money they got paid to continue making South Park for 6 more seasons and 14 movies. I did that in quotes. That doesn't include the production. That's just how much Matt and Trey got.
14 movies?
14 movies. Yes, I will get into that in a second.
Fuck, dude.
6 seasons, 14 movies. Matt and Trey got paid $900 million. Again, not a buyout. This is not a Viacom completely owned South Park now. No. This is just those guys' payday. That's their check. That's their paycheck to keep doing South Park. It's not production money. That's what I read. I read that that's not production costs, which means that the network still has to pay them to produce all of this shit. So it's like worth over $1 billion.
That's so dope, though.
Isn't that fucking awesome, dude?
That is.
God, I remember when we went to Team America together.
Yes.
Being Matt and Trey fans, just in general, and me and you, we went to the Team America movie, and God, we laughed our fucking asses off, dude.
There's so many little things,
the little stuff
in the movie that just like, I don't know if there's a lot of people that got some of the subtle things.
I know, I agree,
just
because
so much.
Right, being Matt and Trey fans, and you know that you may not be such Matt and Trey fan recently, but then me and you were really big Matt and Trey fans.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
It's not that I'm not a fan. It's just it's hard to watch it now.
Yeah, there's just so much shit.
Well, with my son, there's so much stuff. I don't have a lot of time, and when I do get time, like when he's around, it's not something that I can listen or like watch with him close, because he's just in such a like impressionable stage,
absorbent
that
mode.
I don't need him walking around saying that
stuff. Right. Exactly. And you know, to talk about Team America for a while is like that was their movie. Like they had almost everything to do with that movie, and you knew their sense of humor, even, you know, outside of South Park, or just how they conducted themselves. And that's how you pick up on the little shit, because the puppets would do fucking weird shit. And you know, those guys were just laughing their asses off and like, keep that in, because that's fucking funny.
Yeah. Well, that's people like the Matt Damon thing, dude.
Right. Tell the Matt Damon story, because that's the fucking best. That's how you know the little subtleties of the puppets doing weird, goofy shit is their humor just staying in there. They're just like, that's fucking funny. Keep it in there.
Right. Exactly. Because
tell the Matt Damon story.
Yeah, with Matt Damon. So they had like the Film Actors Guild or FAG.
Yep.
they had that in the
Team America.
Movie.
They're basically a character. Like Film Actors Guild is basically a character in the movie. It's a bunch of people, but it's like a character in the film.
So they have all these people that they're making fun of, and they actually like Matt Damon. So they didn't want to like make fun of him like super hard, like they went at him. But when they made the Matt Damon like little marionette, it looked so not like him that in that movie, like it wasn't part of the script, but it became this awesome thing where he's just like Matt Damon because he just looks so off.
That they were just like, that's all he can do.
They're just like, look at how dumb he looks. And then they throw it around. They're just like, maybe he should just say his name all stupid. And it's one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. And it was completely like incidental. Like they weren't trying to make that happen, but it happened. And then they're like, fucking keep it. We're definitely putting that in.
It's so goddamn funny. Oh fuck, it's so good.
Oh
just
yeah.
Because like who puts all this money into a movie, doesn't even write a character in. They're just like, I don't know, we'll just have the Matt Damon character just sit in the back, and you see him, they get him
right,
and you can just see the puppeteers and Matt and Trey, they're doing voices and they're just riffing, and they're like, oh fuck, that's going in, that's fucking in there.
Yeah. And I think it was kind of the same thing with like the sex scene. They're like, let's try it. And it didn't, like, it looks stupid. And they're like, that's perfect. Do the best job you can. We're just going to have it look super awkward.
Yes.
And fun fact, I'm pretty sure you know, but anybody that's not aware of this either, that's the largest scale marionette movie that's ever been produced ever. Nobody's ever done anything even close to that. It is the biggest,
never ever.
Yeah, the biggest of all time. They had they had like so many different people on booms running all these different marionettes at once. There's like no CG in that movie at all.
All those faces are little mechanical, like every puppet's face is little mechanical like they were running them from remote locations. Like they had remote mechanical faces behind the marionette face. Like,
look into the background of that movie if you want to have your mind blown, because all the different things too, like everything's a scale that, like, the one guy's belt buckle's a fucking quarter. When they go to like the like Middle Eastern stuff, that's all like spray painted like colanders and cheese graters and shit. Hanging, like all
when they
go
to the bar, when they're doing the bar pool scene of like they're basically back at Team America headquarters and they're just playing pool and they just got done and they're like having a good time, and all of those bottles are real mini one-shot liquor bottles.
Yeah.
It just so happens that they're the perfect scale to go with the marionettes.
Yes.
It's so fucking awesome.
It is. There's so much cool stuff like that to that movie.
Yeah, it really, and the reason why I started with that is because I read an interview with Matt, and he's just like, yeah, I don't know, we're super rich. Like, we were already rich. And so we just now have fuck you money.
Right.
I'm like, fuck yes,
that's
dude.
So dope.
Because he's talking about how they've built all this other shit already. Like, South Park is the reason why they're able to do the Book of Mormon, one of the best fucking, like, it's one of the most successful musicals of all like, I don't know if I maybe I'm stepping out of line saying all time, but it's a very successful musical. Their Team America, that was their shit. They basically they are the reason that movie existed. Like, they had so much invested in it in multiple ways. And he basically just said, like, yeah. Like, we now are just going to invest this money. Like, I don't know what other people do when they get this rich, but that's not me and Trey. He's just like, we take things like this and we just turn it into other stuff. Like, this is now investing money, and we have all these other things we're already doing. Like, they have a deep fake studio. Did you know this?
Yes.
Sassy Justice. I look up Sassy Justice on YouTube.
Yeah, because isn't that, what the hell is it? Oh, it was something. There was some clip that I think I sent you, and you were like, "Yeah, that's Matt and Trey's like deep fake thing," and I didn't even know it was.
Yeah, that's Sassy Justice.
Yeah,
you just saw it in a different. Go to YouTube and look up Sassy Justice. Like, that's the fucking channel, and it's deep fakes, dude. You know the this is how it all ties together. You know the Al Gore Man Bear Pig, super cereal, you guys.
Yeah. This
They did
Mount
a
Pig
deep
is
fake
real.
with Al Gore.
Yeah.
And they gave him that voice. So it looks like Al Gore, but it's Al Gore, like real
super
looking fucking Al
serious.
Gore. Yeah, and he's just like, so this guy is super serial. And it's a real looking Al Gore.
Right.
It's so goddamn funny.
That's awesome.
That you don't get if you're not a South Park fan.
Right.
But they don't care. They built a fucking deep fake studio, which cost tons of money, and they just put it on YouTube.
My favorite part of that whole thing is when he exits. He's got a cape. He exits. Oh.
I guess they're working on a whole movie, even like a whole deep fake movie, because I read about their studio that they built for that YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding you. They built a deep fake studio. They spent tons of money on it. Like he said that in the article.
Dude, they must have had like a whole bunch of shit like in the can, like ready for them to sign a deal for like 14 movies. They must have just been like, no, is there more to it? Like
it's all new. Okay. So yeah, sorry. Okay. I'll get off of like, yeah, they got $900 million and they're going to invest and make a bunch of new shit. We'll get into more of that. We'll get back to South Park now, which is what this whole topic's supposed to be.
Right.
I mean, damn near 30 years of South Park, dude. It's fucking crazy. It blows my mind to think about. And I think about it more often than you might think, because I don't have a lot of stable things in my life. Oh, let's not get emotional. So the 14 movies, there's 14 movies set in the South Park universe is what it is.
Holy shit, dude. I was totally thinking that there was like, like Basketball 2.
Right. Which by the way is not their movie. That's fucking that was them getting their acting chops on.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Basketball 2, why wouldn't they do it, right? They have the money. But no,
That's
this is
why.
6 seasons of South Park and 14 movies for Paramount Plus. Because these guys in 2007, them and their lawyer, they signed an agreement that is still in place today. They get 50% of all, and this is a quote, non-TV rights. Streaming is not included on that. So everything that's on the internet, they get 50% of the profits. So not only did they get $900 million, they have to now make 6 seasons and 14 movies. 14 movies for a streaming service where they're 50% owners of the revenue that comes in from that. Dude. Fuck yes, dude. These guys killing it.
They're going to be like some of the richest people. Like they're going to be so much more wealthy than all these big time actors pretty soon.
For sure.
Like if not already.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Yeah. If not already, just with this deal.
That's insane.
And so these 14 movies in the Paramount universe, so there was none of this in there, but just being a 20 some year fan of South Park, dude, they make entire seasons now that are essentially movies. Like Taggarty Farms. That's what they called the last season of South Park. They just fucking like changed the name of South Park to Taggarty Farms. And they just made an entire episode about Randy on a weed farm. Entire season about Randy on a weed farm.
Really? I gotta watch. Man, I have not watched recently. I didn't see any of that season at all.
So good.
That's
awesome.
It's
so fucking funny. And so to me, what this is saying is like, yeah, we're going to do our 10 episodes a season. But instead of making the 3 episode links, because they do that often. You've seen it before with like, you may have seen it. Maybe I'm jumping too far ahead, but remember when they did the the 2020? Yes, that one. That's a mini movie, right? Because it runs like 2-3 episodes. So you just have to think about. I'm just thinking like, yeah, they're just gonna do that. They're already doing that inside of South Park. So now they're just gonna spin it off 14 times. Like, that's a shitload of work, but it's just gonna be that. I just can't see it any other way. I mean, what was the last Did you play one of the games? Any of the games?
Yes, I played them all. The
Yes.
games are fantastic.
The fractured but whole is literally an attachment. Like you can see it interwoven in the season
Really?
before it came out. Oh, dude. You watch,
Oh,
and I'm gonna just make a guess, but you watch like season 19 and you play the fractured but whole,
mhm.
they fucking intertwine. So the fractured but whole would be the movie on Paramount Plus, and the season would be the season. Like they're already fucking doing it, man. They're just getting
They're
paid to like
for
do it
and
now.
also, like, we've talked about video games on here. For anybody that hasn't played those games, they're fantastic games
Oh my
too.
god.
They're so
There's
good. Like,
fucking so good.
the battle setup and, like, their turn-based, like, RPG where you can level up your characters and everything, and it's
They're
so
full on
good.
RPGs. Yeah.
They're
I mean, they're
so like
RPGs. There's no dancing around it.
they're real RPGs. It's not like
Uh-huh.
it's a South Park game where they tried to sprinkle in an RPG. It's a
Right.
legit RPG that's
Oh yeah.
also South Park. They're
Right.
so good. The first time I played the one, and they're so fucking smart too.
Mhm.
Like you just see you have like a cardboard sword, and then you slap a sticker on it, and then that's like firepower because
Yes.
it's like all the kids' imagination, but like
Right.
but it still works. You know, like you're
Right. Yeah,
it's
like
just
when
so
you set a bomb on fire, he still's on fire. He's still like, "Ah, god damn it."
right.
And he sits there and burns for a little while. But
Yeah,
but yes, it's the kid's imagination by just sticking a fire sticker on his cardboard sword. It's
right.
it's beautiful.
And there's so much like that's just a very small amount. There's so much of that shit, and
Oh yeah.
it's all so funny. Like,
And it looks like an episode. I played it
yeah,
on Switch, dude. I played it on Nintendo Switch, which is the weakest system out there right now. I mean, power graphic processor wise, right? There's no other system out there that is that underpowered in comparison. Like a PS4, a PS5,
sure,
right? Of course they can
sure,
render a fucking South Park episode in real time. They're
right,
huge.
yep,
I played it on Switch again for my second or third time or fourth. I love them.
right,
And it still looks like an episode. It looks like you're playing a South Park episode, a
yeah,
season of South Park.
right.
It's so good. Oh shit,
So
dude, check
good.
it out.
What you got?
Those are my collector's editions right there.
Oh yeah, yep,
Yeah, those are my
yeah,
collector's editions of South Park, Fracture But Whole, and Stick of Truth. They're behind me. Um,
so good.
yeah, they're so good, and they actually have more games coming out. Matt said they're working on a 3D game, which I'm just like, I didn't ask for that. I'm not sure I want that because I just want it to stay South Park.
Yeah,
But I'm definitely open to the idea. Did you play them
the
when
3D
they're on
ones.
PlayStation and N64? Yeah,
Yeah, those are
mm,
the
yeah,
the idea of it was cool. Like I remember that you could like throw snowballs, and then you could pee on them to make yellow
make them.
snowballs, and
Yep,
like
yep.
it was stuff like
Or
that that was like
if you were playing split screen, you'd shoot the cow gun, and the other one would have the cow's butt on
right,
the
right.
screen.
Yep, yeah. So there was like fun stuff like that, but it was nothing like the games now
You're
because
right, because
it was
those
like a
weren't that solid. Those games
no,
weren't that solid.
it was like a slightly open world like first person shooter, and it was kind of confusing on what you were doing
Yeah.
from what I remembered, and it just like yeah,
I
it
have their
was like
cart game.
it was like
They
the
had a cart
first
game.
couple it was like the first couple of seasons, or like the first
Mhm.
season of South Park. Like
Yeah.
the comedy and stuff wasn't bad, but like it was like construction paper, it wasn't that great looking, you know.
Right. Yep. For sure.
So
For
yeah,
sure. It wasn't what
3D,
South Park is. It hadn't established itself as the South Park that we know today. It
right,
hadn't earned its keep to just do whatever the fuck it wanted yet.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, well, and just a 3D video game wasn't just not what that should have been. What they are now is what they should have been. And not
Right.
saying a 3D video game won't be good here. I'm assuming that with all their success and knowledge that this
Mhm.
one is something to behold,
Right.
not versus the first one where it felt like there was just kind of like put something out with our name on it, you know?
Yeah. That cheap money grab skin, like
Yep.
skin a game and just
Yep.
sell it because it's hot right now. Yeah.
Yep.
Which I
Or like
fucking
they
hate.
had I feel like maybe they had a decent idea, but like not the game developers to help them
Yeah,
push
not
it
enough
along.
time to flesh out the game
Right.
play. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And with these 14 movies, to get back to the 14 movies they have to make for Paramount Plus,
Yeah.
is I wonder, because you have to remember the first movie coming out, right?
I
I
love the
mean, like
first
you.
movie so
Oh
much. That's the one
my
I'm the
god!
scaredest about playing around my son. Cause there's so much stuff like I'm
Instead
pretty
of
sure
shit,
my
say
mom
poo and the poo and the poo is
yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
It was a
Well,
musical.
that one doesn't scare me. It's like the shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker. I don't need my son saying that stuff. You don't need your sleep
He's
and mow
just
the
gonna
lawn.
go
You
to
just fuck
daycare
your
and
uncle
call
all
some
day long.
goes to daycare and just call some kid an Uncle Fucker.
Right, Uncle Fucker. I
Like
have
what?
been trying to give him some disses, like to throw back at these kids because they've been saying shit to him, but we haven't
Oh,
got to that part
we
yet.
haven't got to Uncle Fucker yet.
Yeah, I because this is a little bit off topic, but since we brought it up, just real quick, he like said something about how the other kid told him to shut up, and he's like, "Shut up's not a nice thing to say." And for whatever reason, he was telling me that the other kid was like, "You're rude." And then like that's not how you use that, but 3-year-olds, whatever. And he said, "You're rude." And I told him, if he says that again, you say, "That wasn't rude. This is rude. You smell like feet." Because I just
Yeah, dude.
I want to hear that diss happen and to
In
hear
real
the
time.
and to have like the other like preschool teachers just be like, "Oh shit."
Oh shit. It's like, how what else do you say to that?
Right. And that kid would just be like,
No, I don't.
Yeah, like it's not hardcore, you know. It's not like I'm
Right, right,
saying
right.
not gonna get him in trouble, but
Right.
that's the kind
But
of
it's
level we're
totally
playing with right now. I mean, it would shut that kid down for sure if he would if
Mhm.
that other kid was just like, "You're rude," and he's just like, "You don't eat or sleep or mow the lawn. You just fuck your uncle all day long." Everybody would just be like, "What in the
What?
fucking hell?"
Whoa, dude. What is he?
Wha-
What? Where did that come from? Because that movie's so old now. People would be like, where, who, how?
Oh yeah, and it's like young ladies like mainly that like watch him for the most part. So
Right.
it's probably
There's
like
a real good chance they never seen it.
right. And with the cancel culture and everything today, that's so much harsher than what some of these kids are saying. They just be like, that 3-year-old just laid the harshest burn I've ever heard anybody say.
Ever. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. But so that movie turned into a musical. South Park's never really been a musical, and that movie was a musical. I actually read
Yeah,
one time that Trey said, he's like, I think that was a musical because I was sort of writing a musical, and well, Book of Mormon, right?
right.
Um, that was sort of like the pent up musical writing energy, and it's just like they made South Park into a musical. It's not that South Park hasn't had a lot of music in it. I mean, fucking Chef, right? But
Hmm.
the whole thing is like, I wonder if they will pull that, because they are going to be short movies. They're going to be like under 90 minutes or something like that, from what I read in this interview with Matt.
That's
So they
perfect.
are going to be sort of that 3 half-hour episodes smashed together. But I wonder, I'm really curious if they're going to do that. Because you remember the episode, or was it just one episode? I can't remember. But remember when they did the anime?
Yeah.
That shit was crazy. Fun, good
Hmm.
times with weapons. And
Yeah.
it's just like, I wonder if they'll do that again, because
That'd be
that,
like the whole movie.
right, right. With South Park characters, because they have
Right.
done that before. They also did the heavy metal episode where that was like all hand drawn. I read an article about
Oh,
that, and
really?
then yeah, it was really hand drawn. Like they honestly hired out like a Korean
That makes
studio that still knew
sense.
how to do hand animation,
That
and they
makes sense to
hired it
how
all
you
out.
get that look.
Right, right.
'Cause
You
it's
do it by
so
actually
I
doing it.
mean, it looks exactly like heavy metal, and if for those of you not familiar at home, there's a heavy metal movie that's like
That's
old
what it's called.
school.
It's literally titled Heavy Metal.
Yeah, and it's like old school hand-drawn stuff, and it's all about like girls in like weird outfits with giant tits,
Yep.
and then the whole South Park episode was like Kenny tripping on cat piss, going go going to the heavy metal universe.
Every time he tripped on cat piss, he would go into this hand drawn universe.
Call it heavy metal. You got a one-way ticket to midnight. Isn't that the line?
Yep.
Call it heavy metal.
Yep. No, you might know your kids are cheesing if they say things like, dude, I'm cheesing. I'm cheesing my effing balls off.
That's right. That's what they call it. Getting the cat in the little thing and getting it to like get mad at another cat, and then it like sprays in your face. That's called cheesing. You might know your kids are cheesing if they say they're cheesing.
Right? It's the best. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
That's so good to have that as an example for literally anything.
I know.
To have that be the PSA. To just be
Yep.
like, you might know your kids are cheesing if they say, dude, I'm cheesing my effing balls.
Right. Because when you'd go out and get high on some weed in high school, you'd come home and you'd be like, man, that was some dank weed. Where's the pizza? I'm super high.
Right. You might know
as your parents are sitting in the living room, like,
right.
What?
Well,
What
even still, like you need a PSA for that.
I know.
Like your mom hears that, and then she's got to go to the like other parents. If my kid says that he's high, does that mean he's high? Yeah, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh my god. Oh fuck. So South Park. Oh my god. I just love this fucking show. But well, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to stay on South Park for now because these like all of this stuff, this 6 seasons and like the pandemic and all this stuff, the pandemic specials then that they've been doing and shit like that. It's like they're not coming out on traditional media anymore. Like I can't find the newest season of South Park on Blu-ray. I don't even know if there is a new one because, well, fuck, I don't even know. Being a big South Park fan, it's all behind HBO, and I'm like, fuck, dude, it sucks because now I think I have to get HBO because that's how dedicated I am to South Park. What you have HBO?
Switch
right?
to AT&T. Yep, that's how I got it. They just give it to you. I didn't try to get it. I just have AT&T, and they're just that was a surprise too when we signed up for it. It was like something else. It was like AT&T TV, and like 2 months in, they're just like, "Hey, we're getting rid of whatever the fuck that was, and we signed a deal with HBO Max. You get HBO Max now." And I'm like, "Dope. We just get that?" And then they're like, yeah, you get that. Plus, HBO Max is the one that gives you free movies. And you're just like, what the fuck? Like I get to watch Suicide Squad right now.
Oh shit, that's right.
When other people have to go to the movie theater to watch it, and all I do is have my cell phone carrier like anybody else would. I just happen to have AT&T.
Right.
And I can just
fuck.
Yeah, it's dope. We watched the new Space Jam movie, which
oh yeah, tell me.
Braxton, my nephew, watches it this sometimes. I don't know if he will. Initially, I was like, that movie sucks. But it was only because I wasn't that far into it. The
Oh, okay.
first half where they were just trying to like have LeBron be an actor is kind of painful to watch. He can't act for shit. But the movie itself isn't that bad.
Oh, okay.
You get some nostalgia where they're in like
Sure.
this like universe and there's a lot of different WB characters and it's not just
Sure.
cartoons. It's like everything Warner Brothers has ever done. You can see
Oh,
like
Jesus.
Pennywise in the background and shit and you're like, "Oh fuck, like look at they're all here." So
Wow.
it's once they get into the actual basketball and stuff, that's not too bad because there are legitimate actors that make the movie a lot better. But LeBron, dude,
Stinker of an actor, huh?
yeah, buddy,
That
you got enough money, dude. Stop.
that's actually what Matt said, because of the pandemic and the lockdowns and like how California's handling everything and stuff like that. He did actually say, like, we were able to put out these specials, which are kind of a tie into like the 14 movies, like these pandemic specials would qualify as that. They weren't able to turn them because if you remember the time, and I'm bringing us back to, so basically what Matt said is he's like, if we were doing normal episodes of South Park right now, we were able to do them the way we normally do, where we just are all in one space, stacked on top of each other, working for 12 hours on end, 30, 20 hours on end to kick out an episode as fast as possible. We'd be doing a Space Jam episode. I could tell you that right now. Like, that's what he said in the episode.
Okay,
And
yeah.
just because of like, I'm sure that
Right.
probably you get it. I'm sure you get it. People who have
Yeah.
seen it, they get that. Me, I'm just like, yeah, I mean, probably the references. I don't know, because
Well, yeah, when you
they're
I mean,
fan like us. This is the age. Like, the reason why Space Jam is being remade is because we're nostalgic about the original Space Jam. And so you get the new Jordan, right? And you put him in
right.
a movie and you put him with these WB characters because WB's struggling because they can't make a good fucking DC movie. And here you go. Money grab.
Yep.
Easy. And that's what South Park would do. They would fucking make fun of that. I'm sure they would.
Yeah,
And
and
oh, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say like all you really need to know is like towards the end, it got me with the like WB stuff, and it wasn't that bad. If you go look at any of the scores, like all the critics are like, "Brr," but all like the viewers, like Rotten Tomatoes is like 30 some percent. I think what I want to say it was like 23% of critics
Okay.
liked it, which is
Yep.
fucking terrible. But like
That's
80%
bad.
of viewers
Oh, we're
where
like,
they're just like,
it's so
yeah,
good.
well, like I don't think they said it. Like you probably don't have to say it's good. You're just like, yeah, I tell people to watch it because you
Sure.
forgot about how shitty the beginning was because the end of it kind of came on strong.
Came along and kind of
Yeah,
saved.
but it's bad acting. There's definitely
Right.
some. I mean, ugh, yeah. I would have loved to
Right.
see
Right.
what they do about it because yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'll make fun of it.
Right. And that's what they would do, but they're just not making episodes that rapidly right now because they're not making them the same way. You remember when they made the election episode and it literally came out the next day?
Yeah, it's so
Like, they
insane.
made the episode and then it airs Wednesday night. The election's Tuesday night. And they had accurate information in the episode. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah,
That is amazing.
do you remember what the title of that like little documentary was that
Oh,
showed?
are you talking about the mini doc of South Park? Like, when
Yes.
because
What?
they did a mini documentary about how South Park is able to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like South Park 24 hours or something like that.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right. Something like
Yep.
that.
I,
Yeah.
I'll look it up actually.
Yeah.
I'll be able to figure it out here.
Cuz that is like South Park in itself, if people aren't familiar, is such a feat to be able to pull off what they pull off, and that documentary shows you exactly how they're pulling it off. And
Yes.
it's
Yes.
it's crazy. Like
Mhm.
they are innovators, groundbreakers in their field for sure, for more than one reason. I mean, and they do it in a lot of stuff. You got the marionettes, and they're putting out stuff where other people, like other shows, other producers and stuff, are like,
Mm-hmm.
what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, people are literally blown away by what Matt and Trey are able to pull off. And it's not that,
Yeah.
it's not just them, but like
Oh, it's
you have
their
to
whole
remember
team.
they're the
Yeah.
leaders, right?
Right.
They're the leaders. They're the people who are, you know, getting the funds, and they're the people who are doing the voices, and they're the main creative forces behind the shit. It's called 6 Days to Air because that's what they do.
Yeah.
They make an episode every 6 days. That's
Yes.
what they do.
Yeah.
They
And
don't have them done ahead of time.
right.
It's fucking
And
crazy, dude.
that's all like 3D animated. And it looks 2D, but it's all 3D animated.
Mm-hmm.
You have them coming up with ideas, animators getting all that stuff done. Everything gets done in that amount of time.
6 days.
New characters are created in that amount of time.
The writing, the voiceovers, the animation, the editing. 6 days. Fucking wild. And nobody bitches about it. Like, you don't ever hear Matt and Trey are shitty for making us work this quickly. It's like everybody knows what they signed up for.
Right.
And they kick it out. It's so nuts. So yeah, it's amazing. And they just said, like Matt just basically said, yeah, we're just going to keep doing shit like that because now we have $900 million.
Right. We'll just pay everybody to stay in a bubble.
Yeah, probably. I mean, who knows? They could. The thing that I wanted to end with is Matt kind of went on he went on a little bit and said a little hint of what they're going to do, saying, yeah, we're going to invest this, you know, like, how do you think that we did Book of Mormon? I mean, we took South Park money and we turned it into a musical that we've been working on for a very long time. And somewhere deep down, me and Trey are still indie film developers. Like, he just basically said, yeah, we have fuck you money, but we're still deep down, we're hungry. Like, we'll never let that go. We'll never let go. Yeah. And I was so pumped to hear that. And he said they have the deepfake movie. So they already have the deepfake studio. So they're working on a deepfake movie. He said that they're working on a horror movie, dude.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't let that one go. I figured we have to end on Matt and Trey are seriously working on a horror movie. Who knows when it's going to come out?
Or what it's going to be. I'm excited.
Yeah. That was the crazy thing that blew my mind. Because even if you think about to the original one, which I've never seen all of it, but the Cannibal, the musical.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. It's fucking weird.
Yeah. So, yeah, kind of goofy. Like, there was Orgasmo, still a comedy. Book of Mormon, still a comedy. Like, if they're making a real deal horror movie, what are they gonna do, man? You're the horror movie guy.
Dude, that's why I was like, I don't know. Like, there's some movies that have tried to do like in this whole realm of like where there's a little bit of comedy in it, but none of those have been really good.
Like, what is that movie, Tucker versus something or whatever? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Tucker versus, is it like The World?
Yeah, but it's like that horror movie where there's like these two rednecks in the woods and these kids are making it a big deal. And they keep just getting into accidents. The kids just keep getting into accidents because they think these rednecks are crazy. And the rednecks are like, why do these kids just keep killing themselves?
Oh, I don't think I've seen that then.
Really?
That name sounds familiar, but no. Oh, you know what a good one is? Is like the Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. That's probably the best like horror, like a comedy. Or Zombieland. Zombieland was really fucking good too, I guess.
Yeah, so but I would never call that a horror movie. Would you?
No, I suppose not. And the Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse wasn't either. But like,
I think those. And this is called. I got it now. It's Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and it's literally like their stereotypical five kids, one black guy, one hot chick, one hot dude. some other random person, some other two random people.
Right.
And they're out in the woods. And then there's just these two nice Southern dudes, Tucker and Dale. They see him in the woods. And the whole time, it's a comedy, but look it up. Look up Tucker and Dale versus Evil Anybody. And it looks like a horror movie. And it's not. It's a comedy. I don't know if that they're going to do that, though, because Matt specifically said it's a horror movie. And so what's this? Yeah. What is this one that you just mentioned that you're kind of debating on?
That Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
Right.
I don't know if that is considered to be
like an actual horror movie.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it says horror / comedy.
Okay.
Because people do die. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like
so does Tucker. Yeah, Tucker and Dale's got a lot of blood in it.
Have you seen that movie?
Which one?
Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse?
Mm-mm.
You gotta watch. You gotta see the beginning.
Okay.
You'll
oh wait, is that the one with Blake?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said just look up the beginning, and I did. It's fucking awesome, dude. It's so funny.
Black Widow, baby.
Yeah, this is just getting down to that Iggy song. Mm-hmm. So good. But anyways, yeah, I just had to end on the horror movie note as like something that you definitely got to keep an eye on, man.
I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what it turns out to be and get your review, because if it's an actual horror movie, I'll probably watch it because it's Matt and Trey, such a huge fan. But I also don't think they're going to make it a comedy. Just because they're funny guys doesn't mean they can't do other shit.
Right.
Like a musical is not a musical that's funny is a musical comedy, but it takes a different skill set to write a musical.
True. Sorry, not to cut you off. I wanted to throw it out there that Zombieland 2, I just Googled that. And that is also comedy / horror. Where I agree with you, I wouldn't put it in the horror category, but that's what it ends up being. So maybe that's what we see coming down the pipe. But if they want to make it like 100% horror, I'm totally down too. Like,
yeah,
those guys are creative geniuses. And if that you want to make just a straight up horror movie, whatever. Right. Like, Key and Peele, what's his name? Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan.
Jordan is making
from Key and
like
Peele.
is making like remarkable horror movies that are legitimate just horror movies.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they had a sketch comedy show.
Right.
Right.
So on Comedy Central.
Yes.
Like they that's where they got their success too.
Yeah. Sure, so I'm down for whatever they come out with. I'll check it out for sure. Fuck
yeah, dude. To a future episode. Let's end on that note. Go to realaf.tv, REELAF.tv. That's where you can find all our shit. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on YouTube. Check us out everywhere. Go to realaf.tv/contact. Tim wanted to punch that up in the beginning. I'm going to punch it up in the end and say, come on, talk to us. Because if there's something you want us to talk about when it comes to fishing, we are fucking down for that. Don't forget, we got a Patreon, patreon.com/realaftv, REELAFTV. Tim, good fucking episode, man. I don't have anything else to plug. I'm just trying to get people to go to REELAF.tv so you can find all our shit with the social medias, whether it be the outlets that we put the podcast on, whether it be our Patreon. It's all there on realaf.tv.
Yeah.
Man.
And I come and interact with us. Plug either, but I want to say, since we were touching on horror movies just now, this comes out on the Monday after this last Friday was Friday the 13th. So I hope you horror movie dudes and dudettes. Is that a thing? Whatever.
Yep, you're right.
I hope you fellers enjoyed your Friday the 13th marathon.
Oh, shit.
Because Jason's murking fools for sure somewhere out there. You find it. There's always a marathon on Friday the 13th. AMC.
That's true. Probably on AMC.